Welcome to TRN Podcast, episode 130. Today we're looking at a collection of recent reports all centered on Ben Affleck following his separation from Jennifer Lopez. You shared these articles with us, and our aim is really to unpack the key insights into where he's at now: relationships, family, his career. We've got three main sources: an exclusive report on his thoughts about, well, flirting post-divorce, coverage of the Accountant 2 premiere, which included his and J-Lo's kids, and a deeper look at how he's navigated the years since the split.
Yeah, and what's really striking looking across these different pieces is this consistent theme, isn't it? Affleck putting his kids first, maintaining positive ties with both ex-wives, even with the end of the J-Lo marriage. It sort of paints a picture of someone actively, managing the complexities of a blended family and maybe seeking a more grounded, more private life now.
Exactly. It really feels like the intense public focus on Bennifer 2.0 took its toll. And maybe Affleck's now consciously choosing a different path. His focus on his children, collaborating with a longtime friend like Matt Damon. It suggests, I think, a return to some core values for him. And this is where it gets interesting for our listeners. He admits to feeling awkward about dating again, but his actions and his words about his family show, well, real strength and commitment.
Which brings up a key question, especially for those interested in these dynamics. How do public figures actually handle that shift from intensely public relationships back to something more private? And what are the signs we should look for, that show their genuine focus and well-being during these kinds of transitions?
Okay, so let's start with the whole flirting and dating thing after the divorce. There were those comments he made at a press junket for The Accountant 2. He basically identified with his character's awkwardness in the dating world. So he feels like lots of people struggle with how to put yourself out there, understanding the signals and all that.
Right, and it shows a bit of self-deprecation maybe, a grounded perspective for someone who's been in the spotlight so long. And that detail about him being officially back on the market for about 3 months before that report. So around January, when the divorce was settled, that gives us a timeline too.
Definitely. And he made that humorous comment about line dancing, remember? His character does it on a date in the film. He said he didn't expect more line dancing roles because of it, but he did find it kind of a lovely thing.
Yeah, a nice little touch.
Yeah.
It also mentioned he's been casually dating, right? But nothing serious forming yet.
That's right. And they clarified that supposed brief fling last summer with Kit Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s daughter. Apparently that didn't turn serious either.
Oh, and there was that mention of an old rumor, wasn't there? That he'd wanted another chance with Jennifer Garner, his first wife, but she wasn't interested.
Yeah, that adds another layer to the backstory he's moving on from. So shifting gears to the family side of things, The Accountant 2 premiere. That was on April 16th in L.A. and described as a real blended family affair. Exactly. Affleck himself told Entertainment Tonight that his kids, Violet, Serafina, Samuel, and Jennifer Lopez's kids, Max and M, were all there. And his comments about Jennifer Lopez were quite positive, I thought. He called her spectacular, great to my kids, someone he adores and I'm grateful to. He really stressed their great ongoing relationship.
That does sound very mature, very respectful, especially considering the public nature of their split. And he was warm about her kids, too, calling them wonderful, and emphasizing Lopez herself is an enormously important, tremendous person of a lot of integrity. That's quite a statement.
It really is. He even said the relationships he has with all the children are the joy of my life. And it's interesting how he reacted to the idea of negativity around their co-parenting. Said he doesn't really read online comments much, but feels like people often just want to find negative things to talk about.
Understandable. Trying to tune out the noise, perhaps. Which leads us to his life more generally since the split, and his outlook. The first anniversary of the separation from Lopez was listed as April 26th, though the divorce itself was finalized in January.
Right. And a source mentioned he feels less exposed now, focusing on his kids, work, and sobriety. He's over 5 years sober, which is significant. Reportedly, he seems very happy. Affleck himself said in GQ that there was no scandal, no soap opera, no intrigue behind the breakup. He described it simply as people trying to figure out their lives and relationships.
It's good he addressed that directly, trying to counter the speculation. And he also dismissed the idea that Jennifer Lopez's documentary was a major reason for the split, didn't he?
He did. And it was confirmed that he never really liked the public aspect of their relationship and wasn't comfortable with the whole Bennifer 2.0 nickname. His temperament was described as a little bit more reserved and private than hers.
That makes sense given what we're seeing now, so how much contact do they have?
The report said not in contact very often, but they can call or text and are cordial. That blended family vibe has apparently softened with distance, but, quote, there's still lots of love.
And crucially, the kids, his and hers, are still close. That's a positive sign.
Definitely. And there was that interesting detail about Lopez and Garner having spoken a couple of times. Garner is apparently one of the few people J-Lo trusts.
Ah, that's fascinating. And Affleck's own relationship with Garner seems to have evolved, too, since the Lopez split.
Yes. Reportedly, it's gotten closer. They spend holidays together. There's a picture of a playful hug during a paintball outing. Their relationship is described as having deepened, but clearly not romantically. It's based on real trust and familiarity for co-parenting. They're considered family for life.
That's a really positive example of how co-parenting can work, isn't it? Finding that new equilibrium.
Absolutely. His life in LA is said to revolve around work and his kids, who are everything to him, and he's apparently shifted more towards producing.
Yeah, to be more present as a dad, his involvement with Artists Equity, the company with Matt Damon, lets him be home when the kids get off the bus. He said, that means more to me than any of it and makes me happier.
That really underscores his priorities, and work seems to be going well, too.
Apparently so. He was thrilled about The Accountant 2 coming out and looking forward to R.I.P., that Netflix thriller with Matt Damon due in the fall. Reuniting with Damon professionally seems to have been a huge bright spot for him.
Good for him. So back to dating for a second. How's he approaching that now?
Very casually, it seems. Not doing public dates, keeping things very low-key.
Yeah.
He's kind of back to living the single bachelor life, but hopes to find love again eventually.
Right. And he briefly tried the Raya dating app again.
Yeah, but apparently decided it's not his thing anymore. Friends try to set him up, but one source said it's hard for him to be tied down right now. He currently feels relieved to have some independence and seems very comfortable with his life right now.
And there was a reflection on the Lopez relationship that they moved so fast, and he intends to be more cautious next time.
Exactly. He's described as being much more centered and reflective now, in a good headspace and sort of embracing this next chapter.
Okay, so summing up, what stands out from all these reports is Affleck really prioritizing his kids and maintaining those positive co-parenting relationships, especially with Garner, but also respectfully with Lopez. Despite the end of that very public marriage, it looks like he's found a way to refocus on family and his own well-being.
I agree. It seems like he learned from that intense public scrutiny and is consciously building a more private life. The focus on his kids, the partnership with Damon, it all points back to maybe more fundamental values for him. It's quite remarkable how he maintains those family bonds despite the romantic shifts.
Yeah, it really is. So for those of you listening and following these kinds of stories, maybe this raises questions about that balance, right? How do public figures, or really anyone, navigate moving from a very visible relationship back into a more private space? And what can we learn about managing major life changes and maintaining important connections?
Exactly. It highlights the challenges of balancing personal relationships with public perception and the different ways people cope and grow. And it really underscores the enduring strength of family ties, even when the structures themselves evolve.
Well, we hope exploring these different reports has given you some interesting insights and maybe a clearer picture based on the sources you shared with us.